I want to introduce you to a tool that we use at Headway. It's a tool that helps us to explain how prone the human brain is to flaws in our thinking. And it's called the Cognitive Bias Codex. And one of the best places to take a look at the Cognitive Bias Codex is on Wikipedia. And that's because when you look at the version that's on Wikipedia, it's actually interactive. In other words, as you run your cursor over all the different entries on the codex, you can it leads you to click on all the little links and it'll give you an explanation of each one of the things. Essentially, the Cognitive Bias Codex has the brain at the center, and shooting out from all the different sides of it in a wheel are all the different proven biases that the human brain is prone to. And they've essentially separated all of the biases into different categories. For example, there is the biases that are associated with what we should remember and what we should not remember. In other words, we will store memories differently based on how we experienced them. Were we happy when we experienced them? Were we sad? We will discard specifics of a memory in order to make generalizations about a memory. We will edit our memories. We will edit some of our memories not very long after an event occurred. We will edit some memories at every iteration after when we've remembered them. Then there's another category of biases related to too much information. When there's too much information coming at us, that's when we get things like conservatism, which is a particular kind of bias. It's just the conservatism bias. It refers to our tendency to revise our belief about something when we're presented with new evidence. We're conservative about revising our belief about it. We don't revise it enough based on the new evidence that we're getting. That's a conservatism bias. There's also the money illusion. That's a cognitive bias where money is thought of in nominal terms instead of real terms. In other words, the face value of money is, we put that in place of its purchasing value, right? The real value of money is what it can purchase, not the face value of it. The purchasing power at a previous point in time is the real value, not its nominal value. That's when we have too much information about something. Another of the four categories of biases is when there's not enough meaning. Stereotyping is one of those bias. It's a stereotype at its most general is a generalized belief about a category of people. It's an expectation that this one particular trait is shared by everyone who belongs to that group of people. So let's be generous and say that you meet someone who is Catholic and they like yellow clothing. And you suddenly generalize and say all Catholics like yellow clothing. That would become a stereotype, and that is when that would belong to the sort of the not enough meaning. We fill in characteristics based on generalities, prior history, stereotypes, things like that. That also belongs. There's another group of biases that belong in that category, which is when we imagine things and people that we are familiar with, and we imagine them as better than they actually are. In there, a common one is the halo effect. That is the tendency to have positive impressions of someone in one particular place, and then allow that positive impression to color everything else we know about them. So let's say that we have a favorite sports hero, and because they're really good at a sport that we like, we then imagine that they're just a great person in everything. So then we hear that they are involved in a domestic violence incident, and we refuse to believe it because they're great at football. That would be what's known as the halo effect. Another category, the final category, is our need to act fast. In there are things like the they need to be immediate, to act quickly. That would include things like the let's say the appeal to novelty. An appeal to novelty is a fallacy where you you claim that an idea is better simply because it's new or it's modern. A lot of people fall prey to that particular tendency. This idea that because something is new, for example, people will buy the new version of a technology, the new version of a phone, because it's the new version. They may not even know what the new version does, or if there is anything that's improved on the new version of their phone. They simply automatically go out and buy the new version of whatever the tech is because it is the new version. That would mean that they are falling prey to the appeal to novelty bias. The cognitive bias codex, one of the reasons it's so useful is not only because it helps you to understand all these different biases, but when you take a look at that wheel of biases, it really helps you understand the fact that the human brain is not particularly logical. I don't think that's necessarily bad. Human brains behave in a social manner, an emotional manner. That's how we function in the world. We're not logical thinkers, we're emotional thinkers, we're social thinkers. That's how we've survived throughout the millennia that we have been on this planet. And so when you understand that we're not making decisions in a logical way, it can help you not to fall prey to the bias that you're making decisions logically. It can help you understand how easily we can fall prey to these errors in thinking, and it can help you to sort of keep your eye out for what may be influencing your decisions so that perhaps you can be aware of your biases and therefore perhaps less likely to fall prey to them. Take a look at the Cognitive Bias Codex and do one of the exercises that we ask our students to do, which is start putting a check mark next to the ones that you think you might fall prey to every once in a while. You might be surprised by how many check marks you end up with. Thanks for watching.